Hi, I'm Eric Siegel with ericstrains.com and welcome to episode 29 of my video train blog series. It's January 2013 and with the new year upon us, I wanted to take a couple minutes and reflect upon 2012 in terms of layout progress and also talk about my goals for 2013. 2012 saw a lot of progress on the layout. I'm really happy with the progress that was made. There are a few things that really stick out in my mind as being done in 2012. The upper level really came together quite a bit in 2012. The yard area finally got ballast and it's finally ready for some lighting and some scenery. And also the Carolina and Colorado rooms came together quite a bit in 2012. So again, I'm really happy with the progress and I'm excited to see where those areas will go in 2013. Now for 2013, obviously I'm going to be working on all areas of the layout, but I do have two big goals for this year. The first of those goals is that I'd like to get the big 20-foot steel trestle that's going to go across the main table here complete, or at least mostly complete, by the end of the year. And in particular, I'd like to get it done before the next open house, which will probably be in November. I don't know if I'll get it all done by then. The first section is on order right now. That section is 8 feet long, and hopefully that'll be done in the next few months. And then after that, we'll just have to see how it goes. But if I could get the whole thing done before the open house, that would be fantastic because I'd be able to run trains on the upper loop during the open house, and that would just be amazing. My second goal for 2013 is that I'd like to get some structures on the layout. I've got a lot of scenery on the layout, a lot of trains, and a lot of track, but I don't have a lot of permanent structures yet, and that's really the phase that I'm moving into now. And so I'd like to get at least 1 or 2 permanent structures on the layout this year, especially in the industrial areas, on some of the industrial sidings. If I could get a factory or 2 going, that would be great. Okay, that does it for layout progress and goals for the year and stuff like that. The next thing I want to do is show you some of the train-related Christmas presents that I got for 2012. The first thing I want to show you is the only train that I got for Christmas, and it's right here. This is made by MTH. It's MTH Tin Plate Traditions, and this is a standard gauge tin plate stock car. And I just love it. It's got the beautiful brass and terracotta and green. And for those of you who don't know, standard gauge is sort of a side project of mine. I usually get maybe 1 or 2 cars a year, and I've been steadily building up my collection for a few years now. And for you young kids, tin plate standard gauge like this is what toy trains looked like back in the 1920s. When a kid got a train, this is what it looked like. And it's really not meant to look prototypical, it's more meant to look like art. And that's exactly what it is. And I just think they're gorgeous, and I love adding to my collection every year. So there it is. Now, nobody bought this for me, I bought it for myself. The story behind that is that about every other year, I will go up to Pennsylvania to visit my brother and his family for Christmas. He lives in State College, Pennsylvania, and in the adjacent town of Lamont, Pennsylvania, there's a train store called Forster's Trains. And when I'm up there, I will go over to Forster's and usually treat myself to a little train gift. And this is what I got this year for 2012. And as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. The other present that I got for Christmas is from my dad, and it's not a train, but it's for the train room, and it's this new 22-inch Vizio flat screen TV. Now, before Christmas, what I had was 2 TVs down here. I had one here in the main room and one back in the Colorado room, and then those TVs are connected to a splitter so that when I watch a movie or TV or something like that, I can watch the same thing no matter which room I'm in. But I did not have a TV in the Carolina room, so I wanted to get a 3rd TV for down here, and that's what I asked my dad for. So he got me this Vizio, and since it's the largest and the newest of the 3, I took down the one that was in the main room before and put this one in its place. So now I've got the Vizio 22-inch here in the main room, and then back in the Colorado room, I've got the oldest of the 3 TVs, which is right there. And then now in the Carolina room, I've got this 3rd TV here. And this is the one that was previously in the main room. So now when I watch a movie or TV, I can move between these 3 rooms and keep watching the same thing. Now, this may seem like a really expensive setup, but it's really not when you compare it to the cost of trains. I'm not a big video audio buff, so I don't go for the $100 monster cables or anything like that. This is the setup that I've got under the train table. I've got my Blu-ray player that also has internet access for Netflix and Hulu and so forth. And then I've got my cable box. And that goes into a video splitter, which then goes out to the 3 TVs. And all of these TVs were under $200. They're not very expensive. And the cables that I use to connect them are just the cheapest cables I could find. Okay, the last thing I want to do today is show you some of the club cars and trinkets for 2012. Now, I've talked about this before, but for those of you who are new to this, the way it works is that most of the train manufacturers have clubs that you can join on a yearly basis. And you pay a little bit of money to join the club, and then you get newsletters and pins and trinkets, and you also get a special car that's made just for members for that year. So what I'm going to do is show you the offerings for 2012. Now, the 4 manufacturers that I buy from the most are Lionel, MTH, Atlas, and Weaver. Lionel has a club, but they don't offer a special car or anything like that. All you get is a newsletter and a little button. So for that reason, I usually don't join the Lionel club. But I do join the clubs for MTH, Atlas, and Weaver. So what I'm going to do is show you what they put out for 2012. I'm going to start with MTH because MTH has a very extensive club car program. They make a club car for every gauge they make. So they have G gauge, standard gauge, HO, S gauge, and O gauge. Now in O gauge they make 3 different club cars each year. They have an O27 Rail King car, then they have an O scale Premier Line car, and then they have an O gauge tin plate car. I typically get 2 cars from MTH each year. I get the O scale Premier Line car, and I get the Lionel Corporate tin plate standard gauge car. This is the Premier O scale car that they made for 2012, and it's this nice railgun gondola with these metal spools inside. And it's really well done, and somewhere on the body it'll say MTH RRC 2012 so that you know that this is the club car that was made for 2012. Now to get this, it costs $50, and for $50 you get the car, and then you get a quarterly newsletter called Crossing Gate, and you get a nice little MTH pin that you can put in your hat that says MTH RRC 2012. And then this is the Lionel Corporate tin plate club car for 2012. And for those of you who don't know, it says Lionel, but Lionel Corporate tin plate is made by MTH. It costs an extra $120 to get the tin plate car, and as you can see, it's beautiful. And the $120 that I pay extra, all it does is add the car. I've already got the newsletter and the pin that came with the $50 membership with the Premier Line car, so all I'm doing is adding a car onto the membership. And that's what I typically do every year. I get the standard gauge and the O scale car, and every now and then I'll also get the O gauge tin plate car, but not every year. Now let's talk about Weaver. Weaver Models only makes O-scale trains, and they have a really cool club. In fact, it's my favorite club to join each year. It costs $70 per year, but for $70 you get quite a bit. First of all, you get the club car. This is the 2012 club car. It's this Indianapolis Power and Light coal hopper, and as you can see, it's really nice. It's got a great paint job, and it's just a really cool car overall. But what's even cooler is that you get a chance to get 4 different road numbers of the same car. So for $70 you get the first car, and then each additional car is $45. Now typically I get 2 cars each year, so here are my 2 club cars for 2012, and they each have a different road number. Now in addition to the club car, you also get their catalog mailings, and then you get a couple of tchotchkes each year. They give out little gadgets or trinkets every year. So one year it was LED flashlights, a really nice LED flashlight that I still use. One year it was letter openers, then it was a multi-tool, and they also give out sweaters and t-shirts and so forth. So for 2012 they give out 2 items. The first item was this hat, and it's a really nice hat. It's a New Era hat, so it's really well made. And then they also gave out this little screwdriver tool that's got a whole bunch of screwdriver bits in the top, and then you put the bit down here and you've got a little screwdriver. And it says Weaver Models on the side, and it has their phone number. So really neat trinkets that they give out every year. Now for 2013, they're putting out a grain hopper, and then they're putting out a little keychain LED flashlight, and then a wall clock, a Weaver Models wall clock, which is really cool. Finally, let's talk about Atlas. Atlas has an O-gauge club called the Golden Spike Club, and you can do it either 2-rail or 3-rail. Now, it used to be that for 3-rail, they would do a Trainman car that was not quite as detailed, still scale, but not quite as detailed, and then they would do a Master Series car that was very detailed. But for 2012, they scaled it down to just one car, a Trainman car. So for 2012, it was $65, and you got the car, a little Atlas pin that you could put on your shirt or your hat, and then you get the newsletters and the catalogs. This is the club car that they put out for 2012, and it's this nice Union Pacific grain hopper. This is the Trainman line. It's scale. It's not quite as detailed as a Master Series car, but it's still very nicely done. And that was their club offering for 2012. So that does it for the 2012 club offerings. Now, there are some things I didn't show you, like the pins and the membership cards and so forth, but if you're interested in joining any of those clubs I just mentioned, all you have to do is visit the website of each of those companies. So for MTH, it's www.mthtrains.com. For Weaver, it's www.weavermodels.com. And for Atlas, it's www.atlaso.com. Okay, so that about wraps it up for this episode. I'm Eric Siegel, and I'll see you next time.